everyone, I'm Monique and today I'm taking part in a YouTube hop to celebrate Rebecca Moore reaching 500 subscribers on her YouTube channel. I'm going to be scraplifting this gorgeous page of hers. You can find her at Precious Pages Papercraft, and I'll link everyone who's taking part in the description box below. Do hop along and check out their creative pages for some lovely inspiration. I've just added some clear gesso first of all to my white cardstock background, and I'm going to leave that to dry while I make a heart template just on a scrap piece of card. I've just drawn half a heart and I'm going to cut it out and then draw it on this beautiful patterned paper background, this rainbow starburst, and it's really quite easy to place it in the center and just draw around. Those lines really help as a guide to find the middle. And then I'm just going to use my craft knife to carefully cut it out because I am going to be using the edging as a border, so I want to keep that all intact. So there it is, all cut out, and I'm just going to be taking my scissors and using those very handy lines to cut out all those little rainbow rays so that I can place them on top of my white cardstock later on. So here I've got my dried piece of gessoed cardstock, and I'm just taking off an inch on two of the sides, so there's just a ½ inch off all the way around, and I'm just using some white thread and machine stitching all the way around that and on one side of each of the little heart rays just to give it a little bit of extra texture. And I'm placing it on top of my white cardstock there, just finding the positioning, and then I'm going to grab my pencil and just make gentle marks all the way around just as a guide for when I'm doing my mixed media, just to guide me on where to be painting. It's really handy having that rainbow border because it really helps when I'm doing my mixed media to guide me on which colors go where. So I'm using my distress inks. I've got a good range of colors to fit with all those different colors in the heart, but you really don't need quite so many. You could just use a basic set of watercolors and mix your colors to get all the different shades that you need. I'm going to be using the packaging technique, so I've just got my acrylic block and then I stamp the distress ink onto it, spritz it with a little bit of water, and then take a piece of old plastic packaging, dab it in, and then dab it onto my white cardstock. So this is great for just being messy. It doesn't need to be perfect. I'm wanting the colors just to blend together a little bit, and I want it to look a little bit splodgy. As you can see just there, I used my paintbrush with some water. It's probably not very wise to be spritzing ink right on top of my layout. I have got a little bit of sprayed ink landing up on my white cardstock, but the joy of gesso is that I can just add some water with my paintbrush and then wipe it off. So that's what you'll see me do a couple times, just cleaning off my page where I've got some ink spray. So here you'll see me going through all the rainbow colors, and sometimes I just use one ink color, sometimes I blend two together to get the right shade. It's really fun just mixing and finding the right colors and just having fun with it.
Say you think about me because I'm starting to doubt we will find our way back to each other when you're on the other side of the world. I'm here and I'm waiting, but I know I can't say that we didn't end it for good reasons. Still I'm hoping we'll be meeting soon. Everybody needs some time to figure themselves out, but I want you close, and I still have hope. I'm waiting every day for you to come back and tell me we can work it out, forget about that back.
And here I'm just about done with all my colors, and I'm really happy with how that's looking. Now I've got a cut file from Peartree Cutfiles. I've cut it out once, and then the little floral cluster on the bottom left I cut out 2 additional times in slightly different sizes. I just kind of traced around it and then cropped it, and then 2 other little floral pieces from another floral cut flat file. And I'm just adding some adhesive behind the florals and backing it with vellum. I feel that there's so much colour going on with the pattern paper and the mixed media. I don't want to add any extra to the florals, and I love vellum on top of coloured pattern papers because it just lets that lovely pattern shine through. and just complements it so beautifully. So I'm just backing all the florals with vellum, and I'm going to go with my scissors and just fussy cut around all those little pieces. I've used a wet tacky glue which has stuck beautifully. It's the first time I've used it and it's worked really, really well. So there they're all ready to be used on my layout when I need it. So now my mixed media is all dry, and I'm just taking my scissors and ruffling up the edges, giving it a bit of texture, and just saving a little bit of that cardstock because it's going to be hidden, so may as well keep those scraps. And now I'm adding some double-sided tape on the back. Now this is a trick I learnt from Essie. I'm going to link her up in the comments because this is a fab trick, so do go check out her YouTube channel. And you just pull up the double-sided tape on either side, on one of your sides, and then you place it down, and like magic you then pull up both sides and you've stuck it down in place, and you do each side in turn, and it just helps you stick it down perfectly the first time. Now I've purposely put my mixed media cardstock down slightly skew. I thought it might just add a little bit of added extra interest, so that was intentional and not that I've got a wonky eye. So here I'm just distressing the edges of all the little rainbow heart rays, just to kind of mirror the white cardstock distressed edges, and I'm going to curl them up a little bit as well when I do pop them, when I glue them onto the page.
I'm not high or low, no, I'm somewhere in the middle and a little bit messed up, 'cause without you everything stops.
All done, and I'm just taking my cut file just to see where I'd like to position it before I glue those rainbow pieces down. So I've just taken some craft foam and I'm cutting out the triangles to match the back of each of the little pieces. I'm using some double-sided tape along with some wet glue just to adhere it to each of the little triangles, and then some wet glue on the back and then sticking that down. So it is quite handy that I've got those pencil marks there because it helps guide me where the pieces are going to be. And I just painstakingly go through each of these pieces. It does take quite a while. There surely must be a quicker way to do this. I find double-sided tape sticks really well, but oh my goodness, my fingers get caught every time trying to take the backing off, so it took me ages, but eventually just about done there. Adding the last little bit of wet glue onto the last two yellow pieces, and then I'm done. And I'm just going to be kind of slightly raising all the edges just to add a little bit of extra texture all the way around that heart and in between all those pieces. I love how the mixed media is peeking out through all those little rays of colour. I just think it's really, really pretty, and looks like the heart is bursting with colour. So there's a little close-up, and I'm just checking to see where everything's going to go. So I've got these two pictures. This is the day before Easter with my kiddies. It was a beautiful sunny day, and we were just enjoying lying on the grass outside, and we were just having some fun taking selfies. They had the Easter bonnet hats on and we were just having a good time. So I've got a couple of perspectives from Bramble Fox there, which work beautifully as the title and a little sun bursting out the top. And now I'm just backing both of my photos with my favorite, some white tissue paper. And then you'll see I've got a piece of yellow patterned cardstock in the background there. I'm going to just be cutting two pieces, very similar size to each of those photos. And so you don't really see it peeking out, but it does color the tissue paper a little bit, and that's all I want. I just want a hint of yellow, and the tissue paper works really well because it just softens that yellow in the background. So together they make a perfect pairing. I don't know if you can see there, it's just a little hint of yellow, a little glow, just to kind of replicate the gorgeous sunshine we had on that day. Now in all the photos we're looking straight ahead, so placing them in the middle of the page works perfectly in this case. So now I'm just adding some more tacky glue all the way around my cut file, and I'm going to stick it down before popping my photos in place. So it's slightly offset to the left, and I'm just popping some things on top of there to squish it down. And I'm just finding the perfect position for those photos, gluing them together, and then I'm going to use a combination of wet glue and foam squares behind that. So I do end up putting a couple of foam squares in the center of that heart, so just to help raise it up in the middle, and then some wet glue just on the raised colored heart raise there. And then at the top of all of the photos, I add little foam squares just to prop them up a little bit, just at the top, so they kind of gradually raise, if that makes sense. So I'm just adding all the foam squares here. It is quite fiddly work. As you can see, I use all sorts of different adhesives and methods to get my photos and embellishments stuck down.
I'm feeling so lonely when you never phone me. I put your picture on my windowsill to make myself feel alright. But I knew it would not be easy, spending time apart, and I almost can't believe it. Believe that you're gone.
So I found the right spot for that other larger flower piece, and I'm just tucking that last little one in there, and I'm happy with how that looks. And I'm just finding the right spot for my title and just adding some tacky glue on the back of that before sticking it down. And then here's this little sunburst, and I think it works perfectly at the top of the heart where those yellow, where the heart meets in the middle there, it's yellow. I purposefully chose for the yellow to be there just because I felt like it was the sun. So having that little sunshine there is the perfect spot, I think. And now I'm just coming in with a few sequins. These are beautiful sequins from Little Things by Lucy's Cards, and I've got them in a rainbow of colors, and they come in all different sizes. So I was very tempted not to add anything because I thought, it was enough with all the color and all the texture, with all that pattern paper in the background, but I found it really hard not to add more. So I did add a few little sequins, just horizontal from the orange and reds in the top right hand corner down to the blues in the left hand corner, just kind of following that horizontal of the florals and the photos. And I'm just going in with my tweezers and my tacky glue just to stick them down in place, and then I am done. So it came together quite quickly. It was a beautiful page to scrap lift. Thank you to Rebecca Moore and her lovely inspiration. Do visit her on Instagram and YouTube at Precious Pages Papercraft, and please do pop along to all the other YouTubers who are taking part in this YouTube hop. I hope something you've seen today has maybe sparked some ideas and that you get a moment to be creative too. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!